I'm speaking on my phone. We're just setting up a computer, maybe a little easier. We will just chant Radha Madhava. Jaya Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Madhava Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardha Hari Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardha Hari Gopi Jana Shodanandana Brajadana Shodanandana Brajadana Randana Shodanandana Brajadana Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Yashodanandana Brajadana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Vihari. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj ki, Gaur Premanande. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. So with invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 5, the meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva. Text text 9. Gopyascha karnya mudita. Yashodaya sutodbhavam Atmanam bhushayam chakrur
Vastrakalpanja. So, getting hard time reading things. Vastrakalpanjanadivihi. You like to chant? Gopyascha karnya mudita Yashodaya sutodbhavam Amanam bhushayam chakrur. Gopyaha, the feminine community, the wives of the coward men. Cha, also, Akarnya, after hearing, Muditaha, became very glad. Yashodayaha, of Mother Yashoda, Sutta Udbhavam, the birth of a male child. Atmanam, personally, Bhushayam Chakruhu, dressed very nicely to attend the festival. Vastra, Akalpa, Anjana, Adibihi, with proper dress, ornaments, black ointment, and so on. Translation: the Gopi wives of the coward man were very pleased to hear that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a son, and they began to decorate themselves very nicely with proper dresses, ornaments, black ointment for the eyes, and so on. Let's read the next verse. Navakunkuma kinjalaka mukha pankaja bhutayaha balibhistvaritam jagmu pritushonishchalat puchaha. Their lotus-like faces, extraordinarily beautiful, being decorated with saffron and newly grown kumkuma. The wives of the coward men hurried to the house of Mother Yashoda with presentations in their hands. Because of natural beauty, the wives had full hips and full breasts, which moved as they hurried along. Purport. The coward men and women in the villages lived a very natural life, and the women developed a natural feminine beauty with full hips and breasts. Because women in modern civilization do not live naturally, their hips and breasts do not develop this natural fullness. Because of artificial living, women have lost their natural beauty, although they claim to be independent and advanced in material civilization. This description of the village women gives a clear example of the contrast between natural life and artificial life of a condemned society, such as that of the Western countries, where topless, bottomless beauty may be easily purchased in clubs and shops and for public advertisements. The word balibihi indicates that the women were carrying gold coins, jeweled necklaces, nice cloths, newly grown grass, sandalwood pulp, flower garlands, and similar offerings on plates made of gold. Such offerings are called bali. The word tvaritam jagmuhu indicate how happy the village women were to understand that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a wonderful child known as Krishna. How wonderful is Krishna? Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabharantikam Mom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthai Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Welcome, Kishore. So a bit of a challenging purport today to the modern civilization and how women are, mostly induced to act within modern civilization. Modern civilization, the values of modern civilization is lust, how to enjoy your senses to the max. So naturally, enjoyment of the opposite sex becomes a value, a prominent value in society. So everything becomes sexualized, both ways. Men and women's bodies become sexualized because that's where the enjoyment is. So that's the value. So Prabhupada contrasts that here in his purport with actual beauty. So I wanted to explore this topic of beauty. What is beauty? What is real beauty? And how it can be applied and misapplied. Hopefully we'll have time to hear something about the beauty of the gopis, because beauty is not unreal. First of all, that's the principle what Prabhupada is speaking from, that beauty comes from the spiritual world. Matter of fact, Krishna has 6 opulences. Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yashasya, Shriya. Shri is the opulence of beauty. Now, of all the 6 opulences of Bhagavan, strength, fame, wealth, renunciation, knowledge, so forth. And beauty, especially in the personality of Krishna, stands out. His immense beauty just bewilders one's mind and eyes. And his beauty is exhibited not only in his form, but in his pastimes and in his exchanges of love with the devotees. So that beauty of Krishna shines forth more than in any other form of the Supreme Being. Now, Prabhupada very often says that when a devotee becomes purified, the devotee starts to share in the opulence of the Supreme Lord. So the knowledge of Krishna, the renunciation of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna also become manifest in the devotee. So Krishna shares his opulence with his intimate associates. Therefore, the most beautiful women in all of creation, all of existence, are the gopis. Srimati Radharani is the epitome of the source and epitome of all feminine beauty. And she directly receives, as the Shakti of Krishna, she directly receives that beauty from him. So Krishna's beauty is manifest in all his associates, and especially his intimate associates, the gopis and Srimati Radharani, in the feminine way, original feminine way, but also in all his other associates. In Vrindavan, even the cows are extraordinarily beautiful. The cows in the material world are not necessarily so beautiful. The Prabhupada once asked his devotees, what is the most beautiful animal? And the devotee said, the cow, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, nah. The horse is the most beautiful animal. Very devoted to the cows. That's very nice. But in Vrindavan, the cows are extraordinarily beautiful, much more so than any horse of the material world, because they share in Krishna's beauty. Krishna shares his opulence of beauty with all of Goloka Vrindavan, all his associates. So we can get a glimpse here in that beauty of the elderly gopis here, who are rushing towards Krishna, having heard this Yashoda Mata has given birth to a son. And in the Leela at this point, they haven't even seen Krishna. This is their first meeting of Krishna, but they're all eternal associates of Krishna. So they already have this immense excitement within them that Yashoda has given birth to a son. Because deep inside, of course, they know that it's Krishna. Although in his Boma Leela, this is the first time they're going to have darshan of him. So they're immensely excited. And they're rushing towards Krishna with many bali-bihi, with many different auspicious things. Vedic culture is very aware about how certain substances have certain energies. Like, for example, mango leaves. You find often mango leaf decorations, and in different ceremonies. We also use it when we do yajnas and homas. So that has a certain energy, a very auspicious energy. Fruits, flowers, especially specific kinds of flower. They bring auspiciousness. They bring auspicious energy. They uplift the mind. They uplift one's consciousness. So in this way, they bring auspiciousness to Krishna. They bring good fortune to Krishna. In the form of gold, in the form of freshly grown grass. All these substances, they carry energy. So, and in doing so, they have decorated themselves very, very nicely. It's described here how they wearing very nice cloth, vastra, akalpa, which means ornaments, anjana, they have like nice ornaments on the eyes and so forth. So they're very, very nicely put together. And as they're moving, their bodies are moving. The breasts are moving, it's described. But this is, of course, when you read the description like this from our modern context, it's like, it's almost look like a little bit of a lusty description, right? But that's not the mood here in Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, Indian culture is okay with, it doesn't, the Vedic culture is okay with natural beauty. It's okay to describe that without having to resort to a lusty description of it. It just states beauty as it is. Not even though this speaks about the natural beauty of the gopis, which is transcendental, but even sometimes describes about, women in the heavenly planets might be described in the same way. But it's with the context that beauty is real. So beauty is not unreal to be rejected. Beauty is real because it has a real source. So Krishna's beauty is reflected in his associates directly, but it's also reflected in this material world. So Prabhupada was not shy to say when a woman was beautiful. He wasn't like a renunciant who would whenever there's beauty, he would I'm not gonna look at it. Right? He was embracing of the world in the sense that not to enjoy it, but to appreciate Krishna's beauty and how Krishna's beauty is reflected here, and therefore did not reject it. But he does make a distinction here about different kinds of beauty. So in the Western world, because the value is so much about lust, so everything becomes sexualized. And that actually degrades natural beauty. Now he's speaking here about women, topless beauty, bottomless beauty, because the verses are about women. Well, we can see the same thing going on in men. You just have to take a walk along the East River. And I notice, because I often take walks there, as soon as the weather gets a little nice, not even that nice, it's like 60 degrees. Like men have been training all winter, in the gyms, and then they're very eager to walk there with their fully trained, muscled bodies to show off. And women do the same thing. It's like, yeah, that's the cultural value. And it's not that we want to, like, one way of reading is that you want to get down on people. No, it's just a misapplied, it's a misunder, it's not the right word. It's poor education. People don't know anything better. So that's what you get in this society. That's why it's called a demonic civilization, because the demonic value is, there's no other goal in this world than lust. Lust is just the highest principle. This is described as satyama pratistamte jagat uhur anishwaram aparaspar sambudam kim anyat kama haitikam. There's no other cause but lust. The whole purpose of this world is just to enjoy, to exhibit your lust, to be lusty, to satisfy your lust, to invoke that lust in others. And that actually degrades beauty. When beauty is used to kind of prostitute yourself, and again, I'm talking both ways, to show like all your features, to attract others, to invoke lust in others, that actually degrades that beauty. Although that beauty is real and it's actually originally pure, but when it's used in that selfish way, it actually makes it spoils it. So that's what Prabhupada is talking about. He's talking about beauty of coming from a more natural way of life. He says, he makes a statement here, which is interesting, I found, that because women in modern civilization do not live naturally, their hips and breasts do not develop to this natural fullness. So that's an interesting statement. It's one of the statements you have to kind of just say, like, I guess because Prabhupada says it, but I don't have an experience so much of this. But the principle he's speaking about is the natural way of life. We live a very artificial way of life. Natural way of life is you live close to the earth. You work close to the land. Like the gopis do. They have natural exercise. They don't have to go to the gym for exercise. They have naturally good food. They don't have to go to the organic section of Whole Foods and pay a lot of money to get some healthy food. There's naturally good food. There's naturally good air. There's naturally good water. There's naturally natural opulence all around. So then it becomes very natural your body starts to naturally exhibit more energy in that civilization, in that kind of lifestyle. It's also interesting how modern civilization seeks all these things in a very artificial way. So, for example, right, you want all these things. You want to be healthy. You want to be beautiful. You want to have, like, when you do exercise, you exhibit more. Your body becomes healthy and looks better. A lot of the yoga industry is all about that. But you have to pay a lot of money for that. It doesn't come naturally. So people sit all day in their offices behind their computer and usually don't eat such good foods because it's very expensive. Or if you can, you have to just pay a lot of money, for which you have to sit in your office and kind of drain yourself and live a very unnatural life. It's not natural for us to sit behind a computer. Who wants to do that? This doesn't make us actually feel naturally good. So generally people don't eat very well because of that. And then they're not very healthy. So then after work, you have to go to the gym to get your exercise and so forth. So it's like you want the same things, but it's done in a very artificial way. Whereas in the natural society, you naturally, your body becomes full of prana. And if you live a pure life, because we're not talking about just physical beauty here also. That's another element of this beauty I want to bring in. It's not just about physical beauty. When one lives a certain lifestyle That's what Prabhupada talks about. One exhibits a certain physique accordingly. So that may exhibit in more fullness of the body, but it also exhibits in radiating a certain natural beauty. Like we see Prabhupada, for example, like many said, this is the most beautiful person they ever saw. Now, if you look at Prabhupada, like, you know, on the external level, you wouldn't say that, but because he exhibited this purity, this love from his heart, he is so beautiful. And like Radhanath Swami tells this story about this leper lady in the leper colony. He walked into a leper colony, and he was, of course, coming from the West, he was a little shocked, seeing like people with like limbs like falling off and so forth, literally bodies kind of rotting. So and then this woman approached him, or somehow met him. I forgot the details of the story, but she kind of blessed him, and she saw in her eyes her love, her affection coming through, and he saw the beauty behind all the external, you know, deformities and so on. So she was a beautiful person within. So it's our values also what makes us beautiful. And there's the beauty of the mode of goodness, and there's the beauty of passion and ignorance. Passion is very much lust, and therefore exhibiting beauty to invoke lust and to satisfy one's lust. And there's the beauty of the mode of goodness, which just kind of naturally flows. It's the beauty of a lifestyle. It's the beauty of dharmic values. It's the beauty of purity, which just radiates from a person. Like you see Radhanath Swami also, such a radiance around him always. It's just so beautiful to even just look at him. Sometimes I just look at him and it's like, this person is so beautiful. We see that with other devotees too. I remember in Amsterdam, I used to start coming to the temple, and of course I noticed the devotees are so effulgent. At some point, like a whole bunch of devotees came from Radhadesh, which is a community a little bit away, and it's very pure atmosphere there. It's all forest, it's very quiet, so and devotees live very natural lives there. So, and I just noticed the energy exuding from them was so special. There's such a I can't quite describe it in words, but there's such a tranquility which just kind of came from them, and such a beauty in their faces. It's the beauty of purity. When you see like a person who's pure, a man or a woman, it just naturally attracts in a different way. It doesn't invoke your lust, but it makes you feel, oh, this person is beautiful. And when it comes to specifically the topic of ladies, yeah, I lived in Govardhan for about 7 months, like in the early 2000s. This was my first long stay in India, so I got really kind of acquainted with the culture. And yeah, and the women there are so beautiful. I was a brahmachari at the time, so I wasn't like, it was such a kind of relief for me to be there, because there was not that lusty energy which coming to me at all the time, which you get here. But it's just a natural beauty of like very pure people, and they're dressed in a particular way. There's more covered. That's another thing, that beauty, when it's just like, when you put out something very cheaply, it kind of degrades beauty. And something's kind of kept more, you know, for oneself, and not like advertised so much. Like when someone is naturally good qualities but doesn't advertise them, that makes the qualities more beautiful, right? So when beauty is like kind of kept a little bit, it makes it more, there's the level of shyness, which makes it more attractive in a way. And then there's just this a purity, the purity of lifestyle, the purity of character, which so much comes through. So I was never like, just agitating. So that it was a real experience. Now the Gopi's beauty even goes beyond that mode of goodness. It's all pure, but there's even a different quality of the beauty of the Gopis, and even why they decorate themselves and make themselves beautiful. This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'll take another 5 minutes to go to this very nice aspect of beauty, where we really want to go with this, because ultimately we want to shift our attraction to beauty, which we all have and is natural, from the material to the spiritual. So the beauty of the gopis is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That first of all, it's described, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes the nature of the gopis' love. Love in the material world is always tainted. There's always some selfish motive. So when lovers decorate themselves to be beautiful, it's also, there's a selfish thing there that they want to get something out of it. They want to enjoy or get, the appreciation and so forth. But the gopis are not like that. So their love is selfless and pure. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quotes a statement to highlight the beauty of their love. Anyone remembers what he quotes? He does this in different occasions. It doesn't relate to beauty actually directly, but it's just a beautiful description of the gopis' love. So it's said that when Krishna went to the forest, the gopis were always crying in their homes because they were thinking, oh, Krishna's feet are so soft. And the forest so full of stones and twigs and thorns. So they were crying in their hearts that Krishna's lotus feet would be touched like that. So yeah, it just speaks about their selflessness and how they're completely concerned with Krishna, not about themselves, but Krishna's pleasure. That means everything to them. So applying this to them decorating themselves, and Krishnadas Kaviraj, he raises this question. He says the gopis do not care for their own pleasure or pains. All their physical and mental activities are directed towards offering enjoyment to Lord Krishna. This is the text 181 from Adi Lila, chapter 4. Tobe dikhiya gopira nitya dehe preta sehato krishnira lage janiha nishchita. Now, whatever affection we see the gopis show for their own bodies, know it for certain to be only for the sake of Lord Krishna. The gopis think, I have offered this body to Lord Krishna. He's the owner, and it brings him enjoyment. Krishna finds joy in seeing and touching this body. This is how the gopis think. This is between quotation marks. Like, quote, Krishna finds joy in seeing and touching this body, unquote. It is for this reason that they cleanse and decorate their bodies. And then he quotes a verse from the Adi Purana, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. It says, Nijangam apiya gopyo mameti samupasate tabhya param name pata niguda prema bhajanam. Sorry. O Arjuna, there are no greater receptacles of deep love for me than the gopis. Tabhya param name pata niguda prema bhajanam. So prema means love, bhajanam means receptacle, a vessel. Niguda prema, like a very deep love. Tabhya param, there's no higher receptacle than them. And why? Nijangam apya gopyo mameti samupasate. They mameti, they think mama here means Krishna. They think the body is mine, it's Krishna's, and therefore samupasate. They engage in decorating, nijangam, cleansing and decorating their own bodies. Although they're not even always successful in it, because when Krishna's placed the flute, their minds just run towards Krishna, and their bodies run with their minds. And then, but they still have to decorate themselves. But that friction doesn't always work out. So they put on like the upper cloth on the upper side, and the face are a little smeared because the kumkum is not like so, because the pull of Krishna's flute is so strong. So it doesn't always work out, but it's still the most beautiful decoration because it's just made out of pure love to meet with Krishna, to give him pleasure. Yeah. And then it's described how when Krishna sees their beauty, and again, it's so much the intention of that beauty, the beauty of their love, which is expressed in their bodies and in their decorations. When Krishna sees that, the very innocent, pure beauty, then his heart overwhelms with joy. And then the gopis feel, oh, they actually don't come there for their joy. They don't come to for their own joy. But when they see Krishna being happy and being overjoyed by seeing their beauty, they become overwhelmed with joy because of Krishna's joy. And then then their beauty expands. And then when Krishna sees their beauty expands, then his beauty expands. And so there's no limit to the expansion of Krishna's joy and the beauty of the gopis. And the same principle applies to every person in Vrindavan. Here, the elderly gopis, they're also extraordinarily beautiful. And their beauty is exhibited in their pure love to just satisfy Krishna without wanting to satisfy themselves. So it's that ultimate purity of intention. We spoke about beauty as in the modes of nature, when it's very selfishly exhibited, and it degrades that beauty which is more natural, coming from the mode of goodness. And now we're talking about beauty which comes from the transcendental platform. It's just like offering one's love and devotion to Krishna and decorating oneself for that purpose. And then that beauty reaches its perfection. So that's why the Bhagavatam has no qualms about describing the beautiful, the moving breasts and all the ornaments, etc. The lusty person can lust after that, but a transcendental person reads, has an understanding of the nature of that beauty. That it's the beauty of love exhibited in all these things. So thank you so much. I went a little bit over time. I see there's a lot in the chat. Yes. Any questions from the audience? Comments?
I want to say I really loved your class, and it also shows our culture. It took me a long time reading the book, The Personality of Krishna, with the gopis, because it sounded like a typical lusty, romantic story. It took me a long time to get over that it's transcendental, not lusty. There's still a few challenges with it, but it shows how Maya and this has a hold on us. It's something you have to keep working on.
Yes, Alan is saying like he appreciated the class and hearing about the gopis, because he struggles with it a little bit, because if you read it on the external level, then you see it looks very much like a love affair. So it's sometimes it's very natural for us to think like that, because we have different impressions coming from our condition. But that's why it's actually extremely important to hear about the gopis. Not exclusively, but from the right sources in the right context. Like we just heard from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who so beautifully analyzes the nature of the gopis' love with all beautiful quotations from the Shastra, etc. So when we get that understanding then of tattva, of the truth of something, in this case the relation of the gopis, then we can appreciate how it plays out in the lila, in the pastime. So in order to understand lila, we have a clear understanding of tattva, of the siddhanta, the conclusions of the Shastra. That's why it's not recommended to so quickly go into those higher pastimes and just reading lilas without having a very deep, profound understanding of the tattva. But we have to when we have an understanding of the tattva, we can really appreciate the lila, and it really nourishes our devotion.
Vasudeva Prabhu, I have a burning question.
Yes, please.
You were talking about gopis, how they were Russian, being pulled by Krishna's flute, and they didn't have enough time to put their makeup properly, but they were so much attracted to Krishna that they kind of neglected that and rushed towards Krishna. And sometimes as devotees, we may feel that I'm not necessarily, there is some service that needs to be done. And then we feel I'm not qualified. I don't have enough time to prepare myself to do this service. So is that the proper mood? We may think, I want to really honor that service, but since I don't have enough time, therefore I'm not going to do it. Is that the right mood of a devotee? Or we should just rush into the service like gopis without being necessarily 100% prepared or qualified? What's the balance?
First of all, we have to understand the principle anukara and anusara. You've heard of this word, Ananda Viharapu, anukara, anusara?
No, never.
Anukara means imitation, anusara means following in the footsteps. So when we want to follow that principles, that we want to be very eager to satisfy Krishna. Now, we're living in a world of so many limitations. We have physical limitation, mental limitations. So, and then it becomes important that we balance ourselves. We call it service. It may be a little bit challenging for our body and mind to be in a sound condition. And we may feel ourselves at some point, because we're acting on a level higher than we are, we're feeling burnt out and we're getting frustrated. And then whenever somebody starts to ask us something, we respond like, don't ask me anything. I already have enough. So we don't want to get into that mood. So that takes some maturity or understanding, maybe some guidance to see where one should apply and where one shouldn't. Because there's, by Prabhupada's mercy, there's no limits to devotional service created in ISKCON and in his entire movement. So it takes some guidance to respond, but we should always have this eagerness to serve. When we feel not eager to serve, when we have too much service and it's a problem where we have to choose, like, well, I want to do this service, that's very good. When there's more service available than we can do, and Krishna gives us more opportunities to serve than we can handle, that's a wonderful situation. And we just have to be careful not to overextend ourselves. But if we just feel uninspired to serve and we're not doing much already, and we still don't feel inspired, then we have to, we should be cautious. We should kind of introspect a little bit, like, why am I not eager to serve? Because devotee is eager to serve.
Can we apply that externally? Like, dear Prabhu, why are you not eager to serve? Or it just applies internally?
I think mostly internally. It depends on the relationship with the person, really. You could say that to someone close to you, but not, and maybe you're equal, but maybe not someone who is. It's very much. I couldn't give a clear answer to that. That very much depends on time, place, and circumstances.
Great. Thank you very much, Vasudeva Prabhu.
Yeah, I often find myself in this situation, but like I have to serve, but I don't have so much time, so I have to, like, I'm not always dressed so properly, dressing myself in 5 minutes, going to the altar, as long as the deities are dressed.
And you don't have to put any makeup. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, fortunately, that's my good fortune. Yeah. Okay, we're at 8 o'clock. So thank you all so much. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you. Beautiful class. Nice, satisfying, bona fide Shastrik. Thank you very much, Vasudeva Prabhu. Okay, our humanity at large, thank you very much. It was nice seeing you. You're watching on YouTube and Zoom. We love you. We know you exist. Tune in regularly. It's good.
Darshan is still coming. So I'll keep the
Darshan, yes, Darshan.
So yeah, you can see the beautiful forms of Radha and Krishna, beautifully decorated.
Jai.
Direction Krishna Prabhu.